Our next lesson is 6.2, circumference and area of circles. Our learning objectives: being able to demonstrate an understanding of the proportional relationship between the diameter and circumference of a circle, show our understanding of pi, calculate the circumference and area of circles, and be able to find the sectors of circles and solve problems in various contexts. Go ahead and read through the intro problem before moving on. Just a review of circumference of circles. Go ahead and pause the video and find the circumference of a circle that has a diameter of 8 inches, and then hit play and see how you did. For this example, you should have gotten that the circumference is 25.12 inches. Go ahead and pause the video and find the circumference of a circle that has a diameter of 12.7 meters, and then hit play and see how you did. For this example, you should have gotten that the circumference is 39.878 meters. Last review problem: find the circumference of a circle that has a radius of 3 inches, and then hit play and see how you did. Remember, we can't use radius to find circumference, so we have to multiply it by 2 to get the diameter of 6 inches. Then we can plug that in to get a circumference of 18.84 inches. So now we're going to learn how to find the diameter or radius given the circumference. So sometimes a problem will give us the circumference of a circle and ask us to find either the diameter or its radius. We can still use the formula for circumference. All we have to do is put the information we have into the appropriate place in the formula and solve for the unknown quantity. So a circle has a circumference of 20.72 meters. So our job is to find out what its diameter is. So if we write the equation for circumference is equal to pi times diameter. We fill in what we know. Our circumference is 20.72, and we use 3.14 for pi. This turns into a one-step equation. I want to get d by itself, so I have to divide by what's in front of it. Now if I divide both sides by that 3.14, d is by itself on the right, and if I type in 20.72 divided by 3.14, I get that my answer is going to be about 599 meters. So right below 6.6 meters for our diameter. So now our circumference of our circle is 147.58 yards, and we're going to be asked to find the radius. So if we use our circumference formula and plug in what we know, so our circumference is 147.58, we use 3.14 for pi, we can solve for the diameter by doing the same thing we did before. Divide both sides by 3.14, and we get that our diameter is 47. So now we know what the diameter is, but remember, diameter is twice the radius. So if I plug 47 in for my diameter, I can solve for my radius by dividing both sides by 2, which would give me a radius of 23.5 yards. So 23.5 yards is our radius. Go ahead and pause the video, solve all 3 of these problems, and then hit play and see how you did. So for our first one, we're looking for the diameter, so we take 28.26 and divide it by 3.14 and get our diameter of 9 inches. For the second one, we're looking for the radius. In order to do that, we find the diameter first, so we take 21.98 and divide it by 3.14, giving us a diameter of 7 feet. Since the diameter is twice as big as the radius, we take that 7 and we divide it by 2, giving us a radius of 3.5 feet, or 3.5 feet. For the last one, we're finding the diameter again, so we need to take 34.54 divided by 3.14, giving us a diameter of 11 meters. So now we're going to look at finding the area of a circle. So to find the area of a two-dimensional figure, we need to figure out the measurement of the space contained inside. This is the measurement of area. This is also the measurement inside a circle. You learned how to find the radius of a circle given the circumference or diameter. Now let's look at using the radius to find the area of the circle. So how do we do that? The area of the circle is found by taking the measurement of the radius, squaring it, and multiplying it by pi. So here is the formula for area. Make sure we have this written down somewhere, right next to the circumference preferably. So here we have a circle that's got a radius of 12 centimeters. So if we want to find the area of the circle, okay, we're going to once again use 3.14 for pi, and then we're going to multiply that by our radius squared. Okay, so if we square our radius, which again is the same as taking the number times itself, I am going to get 3.14 times 144. And if I type that into my calculator, my area is going to be 452.16. Now we keep the same label, we go centimeters, but since we're doing area, we're going to square that centimeter. So it's going to be 452.16 square centimeters is our answer. So we've got some students that formed a circle to play dodgeball. The radius is 21 feet. What's the area? So again, we're going to use 21 for our radius and 3.14 for pi. So we're going to take 3.14 times 21 squared. And again, 21 squared is just 21 times 21. So I'm really going to be doing 3.14 times 441. And if I type that into my calculator, I'm going to get an area of 1,384.74. Again, we keep the feet label, but we do square feet. So 1,384.74 square feet is our area. Go ahead and pause the video and find the area of all three circles, and then hit play and see how you did. So for our first one, a radius of 9 inches, our equation should be 3.14 times 9 squared. 9 squared is 81. 81 times 3.14, we should get 254.34 square inches. For the second one, our radius is 11 inches, so our equation should be 3.14 times 11 squared. 11 squared is 121. 121 times 3.14 should get us an area of 379.94 square inches. The last one's a little different. It gives us a diameter of 8 feet. Remember, our equation is for radius, so we have to go from diameter to radius. And if diameter is 2 times the radius, our radius would end up being 4 feet. So our equation should be 3.14 times 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 3.14 gives us 50.24 square feet for our area. So now we're going to try to find the radius or the diameter when we're given the area. So if we're given the radius or diameter, we can find the area. We can use that the other way as well. So if we're given the area, we can find the radius or the diameter. So if we start with that area formula, to get to the radius, we divide by pi first. So we get r squared is equal to a over pi. And then to get that squared out of there, we do what's called a square root. So to find our radius, we're going to take the square root of the area divided by pi, which we use as 3.14. Now, to do square roots on our TI-83 calculators, we press the second button, which is the top left, and then we press the x squared button, which is towards the middle on the left side. Okay, so second, and then that x squared button will do square root. And then we type in what we want to take the square root of after that. So if we are trying to find the radius, if the circle has an area of 113.04, we would take the square root of whatever 113.04 divided by 3.14 is. So if I do just that division underneath, so if I do 113.04 divided by 3.14, I get 36. Then if I do the square root of 36, so again, second, and then that x squared button, and then I type in 36, and I hit equals, I get that my radius is 6, and our label is inches. So our next example, we've got the area is 153.86 square inches, and we're finding the radius. So to find the radius, again, we take the square root of the area divided by 3.14. If we type that into our calculator, we get that we're going to be taking the square root of 49. And if we take the square root of that, we're going to get that our radius is 7 inches. Go ahead and pause the video and do the next two on your own, and then hit play and see how you did. So for the middle one, you should have done 354.34 divided by 3.14. You have to round that, getting 112.85. You take the square root of that, and you'll have to round again to get about 10.62 feet for our radius. For the last one, you take 452.16 and divide it by 3.14, giving you 144. If you take the square root of that, you get a radius of 12 meters. Now we're going to figure out how to find the diameter of the circle. So we're going to start out the same way that we did before. We're going to find the radius first. So for this first one, if I've got 153.86 square inches is my radius, or my area, to find the radius, I take the square root of 153.86 divided by 3.14, which would give me the square root of 49, which my radius is 7 inches. Now remember, diameter is 2 times the radius. So my diameter is going to be 2 times 7, which would get me 14 inches for my diameter. Okay, so do the same thing we did on the last slide, find our radius. Just in the end, take the radius times 2 to get our diameter. So go ahead and pause the video, do these last two on your own, then hit play and see how you did. So for the second one, you should have gotten that our radius is 10.62, and you got that by taking 354.34 divided by 3.14 and then taking the square root of that. To get the diameter, we take that 10.62 radius and multiply it by 2, giving us a diameter of about 21.24 feet. For the last one, we should have gotten a radius of 12 meters by doing 452.16 divided by 3.14 and then taking the square root of that. So to get the diameter, we take that radius of 12 meters and multiply it by 2, giving us a diameter of 24 meters. So we've seen that we can apply the formula for finding circumference of circles to different kinds of situations. Sometimes we need to solve for circumference, but other times we may need to find the diameter or the radius. We can also use this formula when we were given real measurements. So let's try looking at a few problems with circles in the real world. So Diego baked a pie in a 9-inch pan. What is the circumference of the pie? So when they say that it's a 9-inch pan, so if we've got a pan here, 9 inches is all the way across. So that means that our diameter is 9 inches. So to find circumference, remember the formula for circumference is pi times diameter. So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to take 3.14, which is what we use for pi, and we're going to multiply it by that 9 diameter. So we're going to get a circumference of 28.26, and our label is going to be inches. So Florencia wants to paste some ribbon around a circular mirror to make a border. So the mirror measures 40 inches across. So again, we've got 40 inches across. And she wants to put the ribbon around the outside like this. So again, we're going to use circumference, and circumference is pi times diameter. Now, when they say 40 inches across, that means that's the diameter. So we are going to plug 40 in for D and 3.1 in for pi. So we're going to take 3.14 times that 40-inch diameter, giving us a circumference of 125.6, and our label is inches. Just a reminder of the beginning of the lesson problem. Make sure to read through this before moving on. Here's the solution to the problem. Make sure you read through this before moving on. So to review, the formula for area of a circle is A is equal to pi r squared. Formula for circumference is C is equal to 2 pi r, or C is equal to pi times diameter. The distance around the circle is called the circumference. Perimeter is the distance around a two-dimensional shape. The distance from the center of the circle to the outside edge of the circle is called the radius. The distance across the center of the circle is called the diameter. Pi is a name given to the ratio of the circumference of the circle to the diameter. A ratio is a comparison of two different quantities, and area is defined as the number of square units that covers a closed figure.